right, hello, I'm back again. We're talking about intuitively body scanning and other things around intuition. And today I'm going to offer a live scan of myself. So you can use body scanning on yourself, which is really, really cool because when you're not feeling quite right or you just want a general checkup of how you're doing, it's nice to have the tools and access to those tools to go inside of yourself and see what's going on. What might surprise you is when I say I'm a medical intuitive, I think that some people think that means that I'm going to see your physical body the way that it would show up medically. And for some medical intuitives, that's true. But for me, I see in the energy of light. And light has waves, density, frequency, and different colors. And that's how I scan the body, even my own body. What kind of light am I carrying today? Ideally, when I'm scanning myself, other people, animals, I want to see pure bright white light, but I haven't seen that yet because we're human and we have emotions and beliefs and we can get knocked out of harmony. So I use this method on myself to see what's stuck, what I'm needing to see, because your body is your teacher, right? Your body and your soul, they're aligned and they're teaching you. So I wanted to just drift back a little bit into my childhood because I have this really strong belief that we all are intuitive. I think intuition is something that we're born with and it doesn't necessarily get nurtured throughout our life. And so we go to school and it gets a bit conditioned out of us. And I've talked about this before. I think about my life in grade school and how difficult it was for me. I think I would have been diagnosed with like ADD or on the spectrum or something because it was just, I wasn't there. I wasn't landed in my desk at school. I was always up here. And at home, I'd always be in the forest and climbing trees. I'd spend a lot of time on my own. I believed that I could communicate with animals. I believed that I could heal with my hands, but there was none of this around me. I'd never seen it in this lifetime as it was possible, just like this deep knowing that I had inside of my body. I believe that we all have that intuition that's guiding us. And I would love to see the school systems, and I know that some schools offer this more like maybe Waldorf or something where you get to have your intuition nurtured instead of it being taught out of you. So when I was a kid, I was very intuitive, and my mom, I thank her so much for this because she would make comments when I would say things and I was just saying things that like, oh, my aunt's going to be here in 5 minutes. And my mom would say, no, she's not coming over today. And I'm talking about the 70s, right? There's no caller ID or anything like that. You just don't have the access to instant information. So I would know things like that. And I remember one time I knew this car was going to roll down this hill at this gas station, and like 5 seconds later it happened. And I jumped in the car and set the e-brake of some stranger's car when I was like 16. So I'm happy for my intuition. And I'm glad that I spent time kind of studying it to help it be more on board, more like instant access for my own well-being, but also for the work that I do in my everyday life. Because this is what I do, and I see you guys, man, I see how intuitive every person is out there, and you may not have access to all 4 of your intuitive abilities, but if you can lean on the stronger ones over time, those other ones will develop. I think that you can think of the intuitive body scanning more like a skill set, right? And we learn skills. So when I was in my mid-30s, I started to go through that spiritual awakening that I see so many of you do. It's such a beautiful time in our lives. Like we just have so many ahas in our lives at that time. And I think we start to get more clearly directed about our path and purpose. And I was guided to start studying energy work and different modalities. And I found this modality where one of the courses was scanning the body. But you had to kind of keep going up different levels until you could reach the level to scan the body. And that was the one I wanted. And so there's your intuition always guiding you, right? I really wanted to be a master at intuitive scanning. I wanted to help people with physical healing and physically shifting, and I didn't want to do the emotional part of the work. When I was growing up, I was taught to not be emotional, and I think that many of you can relate. We're among the generation of being seen and not heard, and so I didn't get to broaden my experience of being an emotional being, and I had to relearn that. But I don't think I started to do that until I was in my 40s, and I'm in my 50s now. So when I was approaching stepping more into this body of work that I do, I was telling God, I'm like, I'm not going to do the emotional part. And I don't know if any of you do this, if you argue with God or the universe or whatever your beliefs are, when you're guided and you're guided and this is what you're going to do. And you go, no, I'm not going to do that. That's my typical way first, and then I move into it. And then I'm always so happy that I did. It'd probably be much better for me if I didn't do it through resistance. But what can I say? That's how I do things sometimes. So when I was learning to become more medically intuitive, I was telling God, I'm not going to deal with the emotions. I just want to deal with the physical. And anytime you challenge the universe or God like that, what's going to happen is you're going to get the opposite of what you think you want. I began to really see the link between people's emotions and people's beliefs and dis-ease in their body or even in their life. What we believe, we're creating so much momentum psychically and energetically to move in that direction, right? It's like the belief becomes fact. So when we do intuitive body scanning, we're looking for the light that someone's carrying without judgment. Just we want to observe. And then we want to observe like different shades of light. If it's not bright white light and it's gray or it's brown or it's see-through black, when it gets darker in its color, it just means that there's more to this, right? It's really, really deep. One thing that I find when I am intuitively scanning people is a lot of people have really big shifts. I find that this is like an essential tool, especially in the work that I do. It's essential. I don't meet someone and work with someone or teach someone without using this tool. This tool is helping me help people really dial into what the body and the soul have planned. They're in union, they're conspiring for your well-being, even when you don't feel good, even when you feel like your life sucks, they're conspiring to teach you some amazing things. And that's why I use my intuitive body scanning abilities for that, to find those missing pieces of the puzzle for you guys. So I want to talk real quick about sensitive kids. So I have worked with a lot of sensitive kids, and a lot of times what it is they're so empathetic. They're feeling so much. So you want to give them the tools so that they're not holding things in their body. And so I'm going to give you guys this tip. Anybody who is a big time empath, I love you guys. I love this ability. It's so crucial for helping people in their transformations. And so whether we're dealing with a young kid or you're an adult that's this huge empath, things get stuck in your body. So this tip I'm going to give you is going into a white light, and I want you to imagine that your body is actually made of white light and that you become a cloud of energy. So I can see through you now. You can imagine that you're see-through, and the emotions that you're kind of feeling from other people. And you do this because you feel their pain and you don't want them to be in pain. You don't want them to suffer. So it's a compassionate way of being in the world. So I want you to imagine that when you feel other people's feelings, that it just moves through you like a cloud, like the wind's just breezing it through you. So you still can tune into this gift, but without absorbing it and causing your body harm. Teach the little kids this too. It's really important because they're a sponge, and we don't want them to get clogged up and weighed down and not be able to discern what's theirs and what somebody else's. So speaking of discernment, one of the biggest topics you guys brought to me around why you think you're blocked when you do intuitive body scanning is because you lack trust and belief in yourself. This is the number one. And so the key is to start to discern between your intuition and your ego. And each live I've talked about the ego. We have an ego for a reason. It's here for a reason. But we never want the ego to be the thing that leads. Intuition is soft. It's a whisper. It's the first message you get. The ego comes in loud and it starts to shout and it starts to create doubt. So one way to discern between your intuition and your ego is actually to start to get more into your physical body. Start to, when you get the intuitive hit, which typically comes in the head and it also comes in the body. But the head, I feel like, is that's where the ego hangs out, right? That's where the ego is creating that doubt. So receive the intuitive message and then bring it into your body and ask your body if this is true or false or right or wrong. So that's one tip I have for you. Another thing around not trusting yourself is, this information I'm getting correct? This can't be right. What if I'm wrong? I want you to move into doing this work knowing it's absolutely okay to be wrong. If you're working with yourself or you're working with someone you love or clients or you're working with animals, tell them, I could always be wrong, but here's the information that I'm getting. You are your own filter, right? I think we have access to all kinds of intuitive insights and information, and then we filter it. And sometimes in that messaging of our filter, it might not be quite right, but trust yourself enough to deliver the message and trust that other person enough to help you understand the message that you're bringing. So one thing that gets in the way big time when you're scanning yourself, if you're feeling really stuck in your life or you're feeling some health issues, if you're scanning yourself or even someone else, you want to watch out for perfectionism, because if you feel that you have to be perfect, you're really walled up and it's hard to get underneath that to find the deeper issues. Those deeper issues, those ones that are really sensitive to touch on, those are the ones that have to be touched on in order for you to have the transformation that you're wanting. So be okay being vulnerable, because that's the only way you're going to create change. So when you're intuitively body scanning and someone is kind of in denial or they're stuck in perfectionism or there's a lot of resistance, be gentle, keep telling them it's okay, and find the good things to share with them that you're seeing when you're in this energy, and that will help them soften. To do this work on yourself though, just reminder, be real, be as vulnerable as you can, or you're not going to get anywhere. Okay, so before I do a scan on myself, do you guys have any questions? I'll keep chatting. Someone was so sweet. I don't know if she's here today, but she's like, keep chatting and let people ask their questions. So I'm going to try to stretch this out a little bit more for you guys. I can tell you that growing up, I really felt that I had to be perfect in order to be loved. And I know that many of you can relate to that, right? When you're dealing with any kind of beliefs and feelings around abandonment, around rejection, then you tend to lean more into the idea of perfectionism. Maybe if I'm this, I'll be loved. Maybe if I'm that, I'll be loved. Maybe if I do it this way, I'll be loved. And so then you are so walled up, right, even with yourself, that you're not even letting yourself see the truth about who you are. Okay, so no one seems to have any questions today, so I'm going to dive into a scan on myself. I don't know what I'm going to see, but I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys today and let you know what's coming through. So I always want to do this with the highest and best intentions. We always want to do this with kindness, even when we're scanning ourselves, because we are our own worst critics. I know you guys know that out there. So I go into the light. I use 4 different methods for scanning, and I'm only going to use one method for myself today, which is I'm going to go inside of my own body. When I do this on myself or someone else, I imagine that I'm as light as light. So very, very light to make my way through the body. I don't want to look for what's wrong. I just want to be observant to see what my body wants to show me and tell me. The reason and the purpose for this body scan is not only how cool it is to see inside the body, even your own, but it's to see if I have something that wants to shift, some emotion or belief that needs to or wants to shift, something my soul's trying to nudge me to learn. I can tell you that today I'm having some sensitivity, some kind of aching, which is common in the right side of my back. and then down into my glute. In fact, I remember dreaming last night how much my right glute was hurting. So there's a sign of where we're going to go today. Before I go, I'm also going to let you know that most likely I'm going to be looking at my muscles, right? Because that's what's feeling like it wants my attention today. So I will close my eyes and close and open them a whole bunch and give you guys the information that I'm getting. And I'll hang out there just a second. Okay, so as I gently say hello to my body, I'm going to imagine that this energy that's getting my attention has my full attention and all of my love, lots of unconditional love. And as I tune into the right side of my glute, it's almost like there's this level of overexerting exhaustion. And what comes in for me is the need for support. And this has been a common theme in my life because I'm super independent and self-reliant. Again, all this stuff stems from childhood, right? Your childhood environment and your conditioning. I'm one of 4 kids. I had a young mom, and I just felt like I had to adult myself from a really young age, and then also parent some of my siblings and even be the mom or the wife at some times. So a lot of responsibility. It didn't feel comfortable asking for support. It always felt like I was asking for too much if I was asking for support. So that pattern really anchored in. And then as an adult, it still can be difficult to ask for support. That's something I'm supposed to learn, my soul is supposed to learn in this life, is asking for support, allowing it and receiving it. So that seems to be the message of this right glute, is it's overworked and it's tired and it wants rest and it wants support. So painless, right? To scan yourself. And the body is the wisdom holder. It's got all the answers. And if we just tune in and listen to it, we're going to be able to move energy and start to feel better. So I've been rambling for a little bit. Do you guys have any questions? I'm excited because I'm going to be teaching a webinar on Friday the 28th at 2 p.m. to help you guys move through some of the blocks you have around intuitively scanning the body. Sometimes you think you can't see into the body, or that you're not receiving information, or you're not receiving the right information, or are you making it up? I hear that all the time. And I'm going to be able to witness you guys scanning the body to see what you're doing and see if you're getting it right. That's one of the coolest things that I love when I teach, is that I get to watch people and their sparks of light go into other people's spaces or their own space and read the energy, and I can help guide you if you feel a little bit off track. So the point of that webinar on Friday the 28th is to help you move some blocks that are out of your way so that you can enjoy the online program coming up at the end of the month. You're going to have full access. It's a 6-week self-paced online course with 2 group calls, so you're not going to be left out there alone. You're going to be really nurtured and supported as you begin to awaken the skill set and deepen the skill set. I don't believe that there's anyone that can't do it, because we're all so intuitive, and it's just a skill that you need to learn. The webinar will be recorded if all goes successful with technology, because I am not a genius. I do the best that I can, but the goal is to record it, and you don't have to attend to enjoy it. I'm going to have my son be my tech officer on that day, and he definitely does better than me. Excuse me, I saged and it's stuck in my throat. I love that gluten, about my glute. My poor glute needs a massage. Anyways, so the 6-week program I'm really excited about, because I think this is one of my niches. You know, it's something that I've really been able to help other people dial in. You can do it. If you think you can't, I think you can. I think you can, and it's practice. And I wasn't an expert at first when I did it. And I remember the teacher that I went to, we were lined up in rows, and she was at the front, and we were guided to scan the person that was right across from us. And I was last in line, so I kept scanning her and kept scanning her. And the teacher said, when it was finally my turn, she's like, You went through her body like 24 times, but I went through 24 times because I had doubt. Like, did I see it? Did I do what I was supposed to do? Did I do this right? And so you're not alone on the learning curve, right? We're experiencing and we're learning all the time. And that's the only way we can dial in the skill. All right. Shoot me your questions. I'm curious. Oh, someone wrote rest and support. For sure. Definitely agree with you on that one. Aw, thank you. That's so sweet. Okay, so let me see what else I can share with you. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the psychic senses. You're all probably highly aware of your psychic senses, where they're located in the body. I can tell you that the third eye is the one that I see most commonly blocked. But the cool thing is that it's really easy to reopen. It's things around fear, traumas around fear, traumas of past life, maybe being harmed if you were psychic or you were a seer. Sometimes it's the fear of seeing the truth. And once you understand what those beliefs are that are blocking that third eye and you start to move them out of the way, you can reopen that third eye, which is wonderful. And that's your gift of being a clairvoyant. And then you have your clairsentient, which is your gift of knowing. You're going to hear me say, I love this one. I really say that about all of these psychic senses. But when you have the gift of knowing, which is claircognizance, that is sitting in your pineal gland, which I think is your God gland. And it's when you just know, like you get those downloads and you just know, hey, this is the direction I'm supposed to go. And it doesn't even make sense to the people that are around you. People that love you, it doesn't make sense. They think you're crazy, and you just got to go with it. Not go with the crazy part or go with it if you don't care, but go with what you know when it's that instinctive, intuitive, deep knowing. I moved across the ocean to Kauai. People didn't understand why I was doing that, but I knew that was what I was supposed to do with my kids. And we moved across the ocean again because that was the guidance and I knew we were supposed to do it again. And then we moved across the country. And so I've done some big things as I trusted the knowing, but they had purpose and meaning. And if I had listened to other people's influences, I would be missing out on a huge portion of what my soul came here to do. So the gift of knowing is beautiful and it helps to remove doubt, right? When you know, you know. Then there's the gift of being clairaudient, and this one confuses people because oftentimes the clairaudience, the gift of hearing is really inside of your head. You can experience it outside of your head, usually if I want to refer to ghosts, right, or wayward spirits, oftentimes you might hear them outside of your head. But when you're hearing your angels or your guides or ascended masters, if you're communicating with the creator, that lands inside of your head. I've found that clairaudience sits right above the ears. Some people are going to say it sits here. So listen to your own intuition, right? You're smart, you're intelligent. Do what works for you. And then your clairsentient sits inside of your solar plexus, and that's the gift of feeling. And I've worked with so many people who are so empathic that they struggle with this gift. They wish that it wasn't so turned on because it can be painful. You feel people's suffering, right? But you get to feel their joy too. Earlier on in this live, I mentioned that what you want to do is your cloud of energy, and what you're sensing from people is just floating through you instead of getting stuck in you. Also, be sure that you're rinsing yourself with light through all these psychic senses, because we're picking up stuff all day long. Psychic energy is getting thrown around all day long because everyone on the planet is psychic. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap it up. I feel like I shared so much with you guys today, and I'm not seeing a ton of questions coming through. This is your moment, though. If you do want to shoot them through, I'm here. Reminding you guys about intuitive body scanning. The purpose of it is to help yourself and to help other people and to help animals. I can't tell you how often I'm scanning other people's animals, and when it's other people's children and other people's animals, and those other people are really intuitive, sometimes it feels like life or death to them. So it makes it more difficult to read their animals or their children. And I have to say, I can be guilty of that myself. But animals are, their souls, they're intelligent, and they have a lot of information to share with us. I worked with someone's horse yesterday, and the horse was showing some energy stuck in its head, and the horse was saying that it feels too hyper focused and hyper vigilant. So as we went into the session with this beautiful client, she realized that the horse was being her mirror. And Amber Leidick and Shaylee Evans, they talk about this a lot, how the horses are your mirror. I find that is the case for most animals. They're mirroring you. Whatever it is in you that needs to be addressed and looked at and shifted, your animals can bring that to the surface for you. Oh, all right, you guys, it's been wonderful. And like I said, I'm not seeing any big questions come through today. So I'm going to repost this a bit later for those of you that hopped on a little bit late in this call, in this live session, but it's been beautiful. I think I might do some lives in July. We'll see. I'm going to take a little break for a few weeks as I focus on this webinar coming up and the actual online course. Thanks, Teresa. It'll be posted again, so you'll be able to see it. All right, you guys, have a beautiful day. Remember, you are capable. Just got to advance those skills because you already are intuitive. All right, so go to my website, RochelleStanley.com, and you can sign up for the course, or you can link into my bio to get tickets for the webinar that's on Friday the 28th. Oh no, somebody doesn't have sound. I'm sorry, I don't know how to fix that. I hope that everyone else has been able to hear me during this live today. All right, you've been beautiful. Remember that you're loved, you're valued, you're important, and enjoy your day. Take care, you guys. Bye.